Our story begins on a plain and completely unremarkable homestead. It was home to a most ordinary family, unsophisticated and somewhat naive Mikola, his simple and hard-working wife, their dog Polkan, their cat Barsik. Their lives were commonplace, absolutely nothing remarkable about them. They went fishing in the spring, with quite the catch to show for it. They gardened in the summer. The land was fertile, the harvests always good. In the fall, the harvest in, they liked picking berries and mushrooms in the forest. Oh, how they loved jam with their tea, salted mushrooms and boiled potatoes. They went skiing in the winter. The snow and frost were perfect. But one day, Mikola and his wife were watching a TV show about warm, far-off countries. The sea was clear, the beaches white. And that's when Mikola's dream was born. He decided that he and his better half would visit those foreign seas, where they would rest from their daily troubles, see the world, let the world see them, and add a little flavor to their humdrum lives. From that point on, Mikola was beside himself day and night, trying to figure out how to earn enough money for his dream. Suddenly, an idea dawned on him. Practical, if a bit risky. With complete confidence in his plan, Mikola decided to go to the bank, take out a loan, and buy seed. The bank bought in. The loan was his. The collateral, his homestead. Mikola walked out of the bank, brimming with joy, bills peeking out of his pockets. Thrilled and exultant, he dashed over to the market to buy seed. Mikola got to the market and spent everything he had on the most expensive, high-yield seed there was, according to the seller. Back home, he and his wife lost no time plowing the soil and sowing their new seed. Sprouts burst out across the field, bloomed and grew stronger. Mikola and his wife couldn't have been happier. They could just taste their trip to the warm sea, feel those foreign lands. But their dream was not to come true. Mother Nature had other plans. The summer was unusually rainy, and the entire crop died. Their dreams washed right away. It's hard to put into words the pain and disappointment they felt, what they went through deep inside, the thoughts that ate at them. They couldn't understand why fate had played such a mean trick. Mikola despaired. He didn't know what to do. The money had to be paid back. Time was ticking. The bank was insistent. He was going to lose his homestead. Fear and despair hung upon Mikola. Sad thoughts bothered him. A sudden call from the bank disturbed Mikola even more. They decided to remind him that the loan repayment terms were inexorably approaching, and there was very little time left. After the call, Mikola completely lost heart. He wished he could gather his thoughts and come up with a way to earn some money to save the homestead, but how can one think in such a situation? I should go take a walk in the forest, Mikola thought. It's quiet and calm there. No one and nothing will disturb me. Maybe if I gather my thoughts, I'll come up with something sensible. Mikola wandered around the forest for a long time, in hopes that something would cross his mind, but he couldn't come up with anything. Oh, just look at this poor old fellow. It's time to return, Mikola thought, but I need to answer the call of nature before I head back. Right when Mikola approached the bush, suddenly he noticed something strange. He even cheered up a bit and, forgetting about his natural needs, began to push the bushes apart. Whoa! Well, I'll be, Mikola said. It's an oil pipeline. The abandoned oil pipeline I read about in the newspaper. I wonder if the pipe is empty, thought Mikola, and at that moment he came up with a grand plan. Without thinking twice, and without wasting precious time, Mikola pulled up his pants and went back to the farm to grab his tools. He got a bucket. He took his hand drill. Its bit was lying somewhere around. And here is the drill bit. He also needed a hose. he found the hose. "Well, it seems like I got everything I need," Mikola muttered to himself. "Now I can go back to the forest, to the pipe." "Oh, and let me grab a corn cob," thought Mikola. "I'll have something to chew on while I'm walking." Mikola is walking through the forest, chewing on the corn comb, thinking that maybe his fate was not really that bad to him. Maybe there actually was something left in the pipe, that he could pump it out and sell it to get some money and pay off his loan. Mikola took his drill and began carefully drilling a hole in the pipe. With trepidation and excitement, Mikola inserted the hose into the hole and, oh joy! To his surprise, precious black gold poured right into the bucket. "I was right," he thought. "Even though the pipe is abandoned, it still has some oil in it." Mikola filled the bucket, plugged the hole in the pipe with the corn cob, and went back to the farm. Mikola was walking back to the homestead, barely dragging the heavy bucket and thinking, "What am I going to do with this wealth?" Suddenly, his natural ingenuity and acumen returned to him. He decided to try to refine the oil into gasoline, using his moonshine still. After all, it's much easier to sell gasoline. Mikola returned to the homestead and, without wasting time, went straight behind the barn, to the clearing where he had the moonshine still hidden, which he secretly used to make excellent moonshine. "Wow, that was quite a walk," Mikola muttered, with tiredness in his voice. Mikola poured the contents of the bucket into the can and went to make fire in the furnace. There is no axe. Oh, what a rattlebrain. I was in the barn a moment ago and didn't grab the axe. Well, you can't chop wood without an axe. He'll have to go back to the barn. By the way, there are no matches either, so he'd better not forget to take them too. Oh, here's the axe, Mikola said. And there were the matches. It's time to go back. Mikola chopped some wood and lit the fire in the furnace. Feeding the wood to the fire, Mikola was thinking of a good way to sell the gas. He couldn't take it to the fair. It could cause some unwanted questions. And then he remembered that when Grzegorz, his brother-in-law, came to visit, he said that he had purchased a car, and a car needs gasoline to run. In the meantime, the oil was successfully produced. Mikola took the bucket and went straight to his brother-in-law, who lived across the river. When Mikola reached the bank, he saw that the ferryman wasn't there. Well, it looks like he'll have to pull the ferry himself. As Mikola was turning the lever, he recalled how Grzegorz talked about a dog he got after some kids got into the habit of stealing carrots from his garden. That dog turned out to be very mean, so Grzegorz told everyone to keep a good distance away from his house, or the dog would eat you whole. And for anyone who wanted to meet him, meet Grzegorz. Not the dog. He set a bell near the riverbank. If you rang it 3 times, he would hear and come. Mikola rang the bell exactly 3 times, as his brother-in-law had told him to. Mikola didn't have to wait long. Grzegorz came right away. They both were delighted to see each other. They haven't met for almost a year. They chatted a little about this and that, and then Mikola got down to... He said that he had some high-quality gasoline for sale, at a bargain price. Grzegorz was quite interested in Mikola's offer. Great gasoline and cheap. He gladly bought it and asked for more. Mikola too was glad that he had managed to sell the gas and promised to bring more of it soon. They talked a bit more, then said their goodbyes. Grzegorz went home, and Mikola, in high spirits, went back to his homestead. Mikola went back happy as a clam. He was inspired by the fact that he had managed to sell the gasoline so easily. Now, Mikola thought, I can pay off the loan and save the homestead. Mikola's head was full of grand plans. Oh, Mikola did not even suspect what dangers and surprises his fate had in store for him. When Mikola returned from his brother-in-law, the first thing he did was to put his gasoline money into the piggy bank, secretly from his wife. He decided not to tell her about his new and very dubious way of earning money just yet, because if he told her the truth, that would be the end of the whole affair. His wife would surely start to worry, ask questions about where the money had come from, and so on and so forth. Maybe she'd even make a scene. So Mikola decided that he would definitely tell her everything, but only after he saved up enough to settle the debt. Hey! That's Grzegorz, the local postman. A cheerful old man, especially after some moonshine. How do you do, Mikola? Grzegorz said. I brought you a fresh paper. Howdy yourself, Grzegorz, replied Mikola. Many thanks. Fresh news is always good. Sure it is, agreed the postman. But you can't put thanks in a bank. Do the old man a favor. Give me some of your famous moonshine. Well, Grzegorz, you old fox, said Mikola with a grin. All right, let me fetch it here. Here you go, said Mikola, holding out a bottle. Now we're talking, Igorich said happily, handing a newspaper to Mikola. By the way, exclaimed Igorich, have you heard the news? They're gonna rebuild the bridge. No way, Mikola replied in surprise. For 10 years, nobody gave a pickle about it. Why now? Well, the thing is, said Igorich, people have been talking for a long time that they wanted to set up border controls on the river, so they need the bridge fixed. And what happens to the ferry? Asked Mikola cautiously. Who knows? Shrugged Igorich. They'll take it apart probably. Who the heck will use it if there's a bridge? True enough, Mikola said with sadness in his voice. Well, so long, neighbor, exclaimed Igorich. I better get going. Folks are waiting for their mail. So long, Igorich, muttered Mikola. And off he went. Igorich drove on, and Mikola began packing for the road. All right, muttered Mikola. To heck with the bridge. Here are more important matters at hand. It's time to head to the forest. I just need to take another bucket to carry more oil per trip. I also ought to grab a hose with a bulb to pump the oil faster. All right, I found the buckets, said Mikola. I only need a hose now. And here's the hose, exclaimed Mikola. Now I can go to the forest. Jeepers cripes, Mikola said in surprise. Where did the cob go? Could the wolves have eaten it? Well, to heck with it, Mikola swore, and without wasting time, set to work. What the heck? Said Mikola, looking into the empty bucket. Where's the oil? Not a single droplet. Could it be that he had sucked it all out the other day? It's really empty. Son of a biscuit, said Mikola, frustrated. There go all my plans and dreams. Mikola was about to return to his homestead when he suddenly remembered that near the forest, on the collective farm field, there was another place where the pipe came to the surface. Mikola came out of the forest, straight to the collective farm field. "And here it is, the pipe," said Mikola. "I'd better do it while no one is around."
Click on a stick. What the?
Mikola swore.
I thought I'd seen everything in life, but this is way out of line.
"All right," Mikola said aloud with displeasure.
It's really something to marvel at, but I should hurry up and get the hose back.
It was almost dawn. The farmers would return to the field soon. He did not want to be seen doing such dubious business.
It looks like I'll have to climb into the nest.
Mikola muttered.
Maybe there is a ladder lying around.
"Who's there?" exclaimed Mikola menacingly, hearing some strange sounds from the darkness.
Strange?
Thought Mikola.
I must be hearing things. Look, ladder.
Mikola said joyfully.
Just long enough to get to the nest.
"Son of a nutcracker," said Mikola, getting up to his feet.
You worthless clump of feathers.
"All right, just you wait," muttered Mikola.
What are you doing? Wait. Where do you think you're going? Give me back my hose,
shouted Mikola.
And what can I do now without a hose?
Mikola thought. And then he was suddenly struck with inspiration. What if I lure the stork back with a bird call?
It might work. The only blessing is, thought Mikola, recalling how he was mistreated by the stork, people say that if a bird pooped on you, you'll get rich, and that's exactly what I need. So even though the stork caused me much trouble, I should say thank it for giving me hope. Mikola returned to the field and, wasting no time, started blowing in the decoy, trying to lure the stork. Lo and behold, the stork really came back. And the best part is, it was holding the hose in its beak. This time, Mikola decided not to climb into the nest. He had a different plan. He decided to scare the stork in the hope that it would fly away and leave the hose. Hey, hooray, I did it! Exclaimed Mikola. It flew away, but this time without the hose. Now he could safely climb into the nest. Mikola connected the hose to the pipe and started pumping out the contents. Oh, and this pipe, it seems, still has plenty of oil in it, Mikola muttered joyfully. I can get at least 2 buckets and maybe even do another trip. The first bucket was full to the brim. Now for the second one. Ah, finally, said Mikola. The buckets are full. All right, looks like I'm done here, said Mikola. I'd better go before the farmers return. Returning to his still, Mikola began preparations for the refining. He already knew how it's done, so he did everything quickly and deftly. This time, 2 buckets needed refining, which meant that he needed to prepare more firewood. All right, 1 bucket is done, Mikola muttered. 1 to go. This time, 2 buckets needed refining, which meant that he needed to prepare more firewood. Well, the 2nd bucket is filled to the brim, said Mikola. Time to play Zhigosha visit. Mikola crossed to the other side of the river and started ringing the bell again. "Howdy, brother," Mikola said joyfully. "Here, as I said, I've brought you more gasoline."
"Whoa," said the brother-in-law. "2 whole buckets this time."
"Yeah," Mikola replied. "I managed to get more this time. Here you go."
"This is very good. More is always better than less," Grzegorz exclaimed, smiling joyfully.
"That's for sure. More is always better than less," said Mikola. "By the way, did you hear about the bridge?"
"Yes, I wish I didn't. Everyone is buzzing about it."
"And what about the ferry? Do they buzz anything about the ferry?" inquired Mikola with concern.
"No, nobody's buzzing about the ferry," said Grzegorz. "Only about the bridge."
"Yeah, I see. Well, take care, brother."
Mikola nodded.
"I'll bring some more gas soon, so get the cash ready."
"Have you built a gasoline refinery at your farm?" asked Grzegorz with a grin.
"Yeah,"
Mikola answered with a laugh.
"I also found an oil well in my garden."
After that, they said their goodbyes. After returning from Grzegorz, Mikola decided to wait a few days before going to the pipe again, so as not to attract too much attention. Somebody might have noticed him the previous time and could make a fuss. Mikola could wait, but the bank wouldn't. And on the 3rd day, Mikola decided that he would go to the pipe as soon as it got dark. And in order to pass the day faster, Mikola decided to go fishing, to get away, so to speak, since the weather turned out to be excellent.
"And here's my favorite fishing rod," Mikola said joyfully.
Mikola came out of the barn and bumped right into his wife.
"Mikola, where are you going?"
His wife asked, surprised.
"Fishing," Mikola cheerfully replied. "I want to catch some fish to treat the cat." "Your fishing can wait," the woman said sternly. "Did you forget that my ma and pa had asked us to look after their bee yard while they're visiting my sis in the city? You must go there and gather the honey before it goes bad." But I haven't been there in years," Mikola muttered confusedly. I don't even remember where the bee yard is. I'll get lost on my way there." "You won't," said the wife ironically in reply. "Turn left after the collective farm field, then go through the forest, then over the bridge, and from there you'll see the bee yard." "Oh, yeah? Well, how, pray tell, will I carry the honey?" objected Mikola, still hoping to find weighty arguments to abandon this unpleasant undertaking. "Our cart has a broken wheel." "Don't worry about that," the wife said. "There's a cart in the bee yard. Take an empty barrel and carry it there, and you'll bring it back on the cart after you fill it. The honey will go bad before you fix our cart." All right, all right. Mikola agreed with sadness in his voice, realizing that fishing will indeed have to wait. Well, there's nothing else to do. I have to get going. By the way, the wife exclaimed, stop at the collective farm orchard. Ask old Kuzma to give us some apples. I want to make some jam. All right, Mikola muttered quite dejectedly. I'll stop by. Whoa! Exclaimed Mikola in despair, seeing a patch on the pipe. The farmers must have noticed a hole in the pipe. But it is not surprising, the pipe is in plain sight. Returning here will be very dangerous. I'll have to look for a new place, thought Mikola, and continued on his way to the bee yard. Howdy, old Kuzma, Mikola cheerfully greeted the local watchman. Hello, neighbor, said old Kuzma. Where are you heading with that barrel? The in-laws asked me to look after the bee yard, so I'm going to get the honey before it goes bad. How about you, keeping your watch? What else is there to do? Replied old Kuzma. Somebody has to keep the thieves. Oh, yes, that's right. Only you can keep them out, Mikola replied, with a slight irony in his voice. If it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be any apples left in the orchard. Joke all you want, Mikola. Old Kuzma grinned slyly. I'm not only watching the apples, you know. There's also the state-owned pipe. What pipe? Said Mikola in surprise. What do you mean, what pipe? The very one that was used to transfer oil back when you still sucked your mom's teeth. No way! The puzzled Mikola exclaimed with genuine surprise. Does the pipe pass here too? Sure it does. Old Kuzma squinted slyly. The long thing behind the fence. To heck with the bee yard. A wild thought flashed through Mikola's head. I have a barrel, the hose, and the driller also with me. But what to do with old Kuzma? Suddenly, Mikola had the idea how to neutralize, so to speak, the formidable watchman. All right, I have to make sure the wife does not notice me, thought Mikola, returning to the farm. She'll give me heck if she finds out I never went to the bee yard. Kuzma, Mikola said mysteriously. How about some moonshine and a pickle? Oh, old Kuzma replied disappointedly. It wouldn't be proper. Come on, old man, Mikola insisted. Just a little, no one will notice. Well, if it's just a little, for health's sake. The old man yielded, and in a decisive voice said, Oh, all right, if you're treating. All right. It looks like he's asleep, Mikola thought, looking closely at the old man. Ah, well, now I can get down to business. Mikola couldn't believe his eyes. His joy and immense happiness knew no bounds. The fuller the barrel got, the more confident was Mikola. This time I will make a lot of money, the crafty Mikola mused. For a whole barrel, Grzegorz will give me quite a sum. Done, Mikola said to himself. A full barrel. Ah, and here's my cob. With genuine joy, the cunning rogue muttered. I only need to disguise the place so that old Kuzma doesn't notice anything when he wakes up. While Mikola was hauling the barrel, he was thinking, I'd better stay out of my wife's sight. I won't cross the homestead's yard, and I'll head right behind the barn to my laboratory. When Mikola was walking through the forest, he met a man with a wheelbarrow who was going the other way. Hey, man, said the strange guy to Mikola. Wanna buy a can? I don't really need a can, replied Mikola. I already have one. I don't need another. Whatever. It's your loss, the man said, and went on his way. Said Mikola to himself. Who the heck would come up with an idea of selling cans in the forest at night? What the fudge? Mikola cried out. Where is the can? Jeebus cripes, Mikola said desperately. Someone stole it. They took the pump too. For crying out loud, gosh! Well, it looks like, Mikola thought indignantly, that guy wanted to sell me my own can. This is a fine kettle of fish. All right, Mikola muttered. I will find out who stole it later. But now I need to figure out how to refine the oil I went into so much trouble to get. I need a new container and a pump. The container's easy, Mikola thought to himself. But what to do with the pump? Where do I get one? This is a tough one. Let me think. Come on, think, Mikola muttered, nervously pacing around the clearing. Got it, exclaimed Mikola joyfully. I can use the water pump. I saw one near the forest. And what is this? Exclaimed Mikola in surprise. Some kind of elastic band. It looks like it's from someone's underpants.
Here it is, said Mikola joyfully. So, the pump is ready, Mikola muttered excitedly. I still have to prepare the barrel for the finished product. Our chemist pondered. It will be tough to operate the pump and watch the temperature at the same time. Oh, hi, Dimitro, Mikola said in surprise. What are you doing here? Hello, Mikola. Well, Dimitro replied. I work here, sort of. The border isn't quite there yet, but there's some control already.
Now I can't let anyone cross the river without special permission. And what are you doing here at night with a barrel? I'm just, Mikola said, a little bewildered. I'm just going to my brother-in-law. I'm bringing him some sauerkraut for his anniversary. Do you have a permit? Dmytro asked matter-of-factly. Nope, Mikola answered with chagrin. I didn't know anything about it. Then go get it, said Dmytro. Without a permit you can't cross. Dmytro, to heck with the permit, Mikola said angrily. It's the middle of the night. The cabbage is going bad. I must get it to Grzegorz as fast as possible. I'm telling you, Dmytro insisted. Without the permit, I'm not allowed to do it. Dang you, Dmytro, Mikola cussed in frustration. Can this night get any better? Mikola started thinking, and he decided to try to cheat, playing on Dmytro's feelings. By the way, Dmytro, Mikola said cheerfully, you were also invited to the anniversary, didn't I tell you? Nope. Dmytro was surprised, but his eyes were already sparkling with cheerful lights. I completely forgot to tell you, Mikola theatrically lamented. Oh, what a scatterbrain. Grzegorz said to me, make sure to call Dmytro, the anniversary would be no fun without him. Did he? The gullible Dmytro sincerely believed in the invitation. I didn't expect it. Thanks. I'll definitely... Yeah, make sure, said Mikola. So maybe you'll still let me cross to Grzegorz with the cabbage? What are we going to eat with Grzegoz's moonshine at the anniversary? Nope, Dmytro said stoically. I can't, Mikola. Don't even ask unless you have the permit. Gosh, darn your permits, said Mikola with frustration in his voice. Can this night get any better? Mikola, Dmytro exclaimed nervously. Can you imagine? The bulb. No way, Mikola portrayed surprise. How are you going to check the permits in the dark? You're right, the distraught Dmytro lamented. I cannot see a thing. I'll have to go get a new light bulb, but I can't leave the ferry unattended. Well, okay, Mikola said with joy in his voice. I'll help you out. Thank you, naive Dmytro replied with a note of hope. Can you go fetch a light bulb? Nah, replied Mikola. I'm really tired after hauling the barrel of sauerkraut. You go get the bulb, and in the meantime I will watch the ferry. Mikola, you are such a great guy, Dmytro said, unsuspecting.
Thank you kindly. You're really helping me out. I'll be right back.
All right, take your time, Mikola replied with a smirk. Don't stumble in the dark.
Grzegorz came, but it looked to Mikola like he wasn't in a great mood.
Hello, brother. Why the long face? What's up?
Me, barely, Grzegorz replied. They really get on my nerves with this construction. They buzz, hammer, bang all day without rest. I have a terrible headache. At least I don't work at night.
I see. Well, maybe this will cheer you up, Mikola said, pointing to the barrel. As the saying goes, right from the oven, still warm. This time I brought a whole barrel.
Wow, Grzegorz was surprised. Well, Mikola, you bring more and more every time. I'm afraid to imagine what happens next. Speaking of the next time, he continued a little excitedly, could you hurry up with it? They're going to finish the bridge soon and set up the border control. You won't be able to cross the border with the gasoline.
You are right, Mikola agreed. There is no border yet, but even this time it was hard enough to get to you. Let's not panic ahead of time, Mikola continued more confidently. As they say, we will solve problems as they come. And now I really need to go back before Dmitro returns with the light bulb.
All right, we'll solve them as they come, agreed the brother-in-law. Take care, Mikola. I'm going to get some rest while it's still night and the construction site is quiet. At sunrise, they'll start making a racket again.
Take care, brother, said Mikola. Until our next meeting.
Crossing back, Mikola was thinking, Grzegorz is right. Before we know it, there will be the bridge, the border control, and our little business will be done for. I can't lose the precious time while there's still no bridge and no border. I'll have to get as much oil as I possibly can, refine it, and sell it to Grzegorz. Mikola could not sleep all night. Thoughts raged in his head and did not give rest. Who stole the can and the pump? Where to look for a new clearing to hide the still? how to get even more oil to refine and sell to Grzegorz before the bridge and the port are completed. And most importantly, where is the best place to get the oil now? The forest pipe is empty. Someone noticed the pipe on the field, and old Kuzma's orchard is no go. He is probably suspecting something and won't buy it the second time. All these questions remained unanswered. But there was another unanswered question that did not give Mikola peace. What would he have to face when his wife found out that he hadn't gone to the bee yard? And in all earnestness, Mikola didn't really want to get an answer to this question, because he already knew it.